Yo, what's good, YouTube? Y'all know me. It's your boy, MacDZ, back up in there. And it's been a minute, guys, only because I actually had oral surgery recently, and so it was a little difficult for me to talk. It's actually still a little painful right now, but I'm gonna troop it through here, try to make sure that I get this to y'all, is because y'all have been asking about this bad boy over here. You guys saw my last video on the Tribit Maxsound Plus, and I've been asked a few different times recently about things about this particular joint. So I thought, hey, let me do a quick comparison video. Y'all know how I like to compare things with something that has actually the almost exact same body form. I don't know if maybe they got that design from the old Sony, but we're going to compare that Tribit Maxsound to the Sony XB20. Now, there are some other units that it also compares to. So if you guys want to see that, I will definitely do that in a follow-up video. But just for your own thoughts, I do have the actual UNTS. This is the Ultra. Okay, so that's the UNTS Angle 3 Ultra. And I also have, hold on. Where did it go? I know it's somewhere here. I do have that XB22 somewhere around here. It's somewhere in the house. But if you guys want to see that, I will definitely do that as well as a comparison video. But I'll also drop some of the specs along with the XB22 with that 20. So at least we have an idea of what it's like. Okay, guys? All right, so let's get started. We're going to do the specs first. And then, of course, you guys know how I do mine. I'm going to go ahead and do my comparisons with 5 categories. Those 5 categories are the usual: that cost, that look, that sound, those intangibles, and of course, badassery. So let's get started real quick on these specs. Ow. Okay. And dude, it's been something else, y'all. It's been something else. Okay, so the Tribit does come with some of those inclusive things like your 45 millimeter diameter passive drivers with your passive radiator there in the middle. And it says those are dual 12-watt speakers. Your frequency range is from your 80 hertz to your 20 kilohertz. All right. So it's not down from the 20 to the 20, but it's a pretty decent sound. And like I said in that video, it wasn't that I was disappointed in that speaker particularly. It was that they spoiled me with this X sound that they have from Tribit. And if you guys go ahead and watch my video on this bad boy, which I will link right here, you guys will see this one blew me away. It was so unexpected for the price range that it just blew me away. So let me go back and continue on here. That Tribit over there, the Maxsound, comes with 4.2 support, and it runs the gambit of your types. So your A2DPs, your AVR-CPs, your HFP, HSP, you know, the usual gambit of your Bluetooth. However, if I'm not mistaken, the maximum range on that is something like 66 feet, as opposed to some others out there that may be a little bit wider, and even though they're 4.2. However, that's actually, if I'm not mistaken, more than the Sony. So we'll go from there. The battery life on this bad boy is 20 hours, it says, but it has a 2200 milliamp battery inside. And I really find that to be peculiar. I don't know if that's right where I got the specs from, and I got to go back to the Tribit site to make sure, because this bad boy, it says, is 4400. So why would they cut it in half? And if they did they find some new technology from this one to that one that caused it to, hey, we can save money on the battery since we can extend the playtime to the same 20 hours? I'm not sure. If you guys know, though, go ahead and leave a comment down below and let me know. Your measurements on this is 65 by 198 by 68 millimeters. Your weight is 1.3 pounds. And the cost we'll get into in a little bit. Now, the Sony, let's talk about that Sony speaker, your XB20. It does come with your same 2 speakers, 42 millimeters. Your best gets on the wattage, because Sony refuses, and I mean absolutely refuses, to put out the wattage on their speakers. is about somewhere between your possibly 20 watts to possibly, it's somewhere between, I want to say 20 and 30 watts is what it says in different places. So different places it has 20, different places it has 30, and somewhere else it said, I think it said 20, 24. I don't know. So my point is that it's somewhere between that 20 and 30 watts, best guess. Your Bluetooth speaker on that, your Bluetooth connectivity on that is 4.2 as well. You got your 32-foot range on your Bluetooth. Now, what the Sony comes with are some intangibles, and we'll get into that when we start doing our ratings. But the weight on this is 1.3 pounds as well. This one gives it in inches at 7.8 by 2.68 by 2.72 inches. And you've got the same inputs on both, which are your micro USB and your stereo mini jacks. The battery life on this one, though, is 12 hours as opposed to 20 hours on your Tribit, but it is an IPX rating of 5, while on the Tribit, it's a 7. So these are kind of like those little things that are a little bit different, and we'll get into that a little bit later on. And there are some couple more intangibles that we'll get into as well. And your cost on that bad boy is about 40 to 45 bucks based on where you're finding it on Amazon, because normally right now at this point, you're not finding it new, you're finding it used and abused. Next up, let's go ahead and delve right into my usual comparisons, because I will give you some other specs on other things that are available at the end here if you guys are interested. That way, at least you guys have all the information for you. All right, so let's talk about those costs. All right, so number one on my comparison list, we got that cost. Your Tribit right now on Amazon is $55.99, okay? But that is new. So new, you're finding it for $55.99. On the Sony right now, it's the best value I got was used like new, and that was $39.99, 40 bucks. All right. Next up, we got that look. These look exactly the same. I'm sorry. These body types are exactly the same. The difference here, let's take up this one here. If you'll notice, of course, it's been used and abused, but you have a little bit, I think, bigger pronunciation of these button placements. They are raised a little bit as opposed to your Sony's, which is pure button placement themselves, so individual buttons. I don't know if that sounds right, but okay, let's do it this way. Individual round buttons, okay? So you got your individual round buttons here. And on the Tribit, you have these like buttons that are kind of in one major circle, and then they're just raised up. All right. So this is their bass X Plus sound, and on Sony you have your extra bass. So literally, it's almost exactly the same. All right. The power button is a little bit depressed over here on the side, but it does have an NFC notification, and you got LEDs up here as well. If you look in the back around here, you'll see where the passive radiator section is, and you'll even see that the slots are about the same on the side here. What I did notice a little bit different is this right here. Oops, got some kitty hair. All right, so you have your USB, you got your 3.5 mini jack, and you have your reset button right here. If you guys can see that a little bit, let me just open that up a little bit so you guys can see a little bit better. Here we go. All right. Now, on the Tribit, which opens in the other direction here, doesn't seem to have a reset button per se. I don't see one, but you do have your 3.5 and your micro USB. So those are the difference here. You have a lanyard slot on this side. You have nothing like that over here with the Sony. What I did notice on the bottom as well is the feet are a little bit different. You have just two long sleeves here, and you got 4 dots on this one. All right. Those are the basic differences. You still have company branding on the front. One says Tribit, one says Sony. And that Sony one literally just like melts into it. See, if you hold it like at an angle, you can't see it. You got to angle it down so you can see it, you know? So there you go. Those are the basic differences, really. And when it comes to look and feel, I want to say because they have the same weight and everything is the same, I'm going to give it to Sony. And I'll tell you why. If you look here, even when they're off, it has this little section right here. Those are the LED coverings, whereas the Tribit doesn't have anything like that. I mean, it's very slight. It's very slight. Those are that's the only thing that really differentiates these. And more importantly, I like the button placement here on top because you can feel it at night when you're asleep or whatever. Like, well, not asleep, but I mean, like, you know, it's night out there and you got the lights off and you're just feeling around on your portable speaker to play, pause, or you know, turn the volume up or down or power it down. You got that available. All right. So with that being said, let's move on to that next thing, which is that sound. So what we did here is, if you'll notice here, we do have the LEDs flashing over here. That is going to be the sound that is playing. So that speaker is what we're going to test out first, is the Tribit. And what I do also have is your trusty decibel meter. So we'll go ahead and turn that bad boy on and get it going. I'm going to press pause right now so I can link everything up and get it going. And this one might be a little bit longer, guys. Sorry about that, but hey, we got to get this down because you guys asked for it. All right, so thanks for that, by the way, guys. Thanks for always being here. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for holding on, and thanks for being with me, y'all. All right, here we go. Pause for effect. All right, y'all. So we back up in there, and we're gonna go ahead and try to make sure that we get this going here. With the new stands here, that's where I'm gonna key off from right now. That makes sense. Yeah, from the edge of that stand, I'm gonna have my decibel meter at my usual location. So let's go ahead and press play here. We got our usual anecdote keyed up. It's gonna be that no copyright sound. Turn it up. It's the single from Anecdote. All right, here we go. We about to turn it on. We about to turn it on. Okay, y'all, 97.8. And as good as that is, it's still pretty muted in my own personal opinion. Let me tell you why. It sounds like the highs aren't very high and the lows just don't punch you like they could. Again, this is a very small speaker in comparison to speakers that are out there and available, of course. I just think in personally, and I want to really test this up against some other ones, and there are some intangibles that we'll get into in a minute, where I just don't know if this at $55.99 is good pricing for what you're getting. It does exactly what it says, though. I can't fault it for that. It does exactly what it says. So let's go ahead, before we start passing judgments on anything of that nature, let's go ahead and rock that Sony and see what we can get out of that. Because that Sony, even though it's 2017, is going to be as similar as we can get for it here. So let's go ahead and drop that bad boy down. Let's go ahead and move this bad boy over and see what we got, all right? All right, so I'll be back up in there, y'all. All right, y'all, we back up in there. And so we got the Sony hooked up, ready to go. We're going to play that No Copyright Sounds. Again, it's by Anecdote. This is Turn It Up. Here we go. We about to turn it on. All right, y'all. So you guys saw that 97.0 exactly. However, again, like I always say, those decibels don't always tell you exactly the full story. All right, guys. So the bass coming out of that was so much deeper than the bass coming out of the Tribit. It was not even close, you know? So at 55 for the Tribit, if you can find the Sony for cheaper, even though it's used, you're going to get some intangibles. First thing I noticed, of course, as soon as it synced up, the first thing it did, it opened up the app. All right. So with that app, you get access to different players. So whether it be your normal player, you get your SoundCloud, you get your Spotify's. As you can see, you get your Deezer. You get other things that you can do, like group it together with other speakers. You can't do that with Tribit, not at all. You can't pair it with anything. You also get your audio, so you can actually control it by this volume rather than the volume on the unit itself. So there's that. There are just so many intangibles that you get, I find, with the Sony at that price point. If the price point was a lot cheaper, if that Tribit was about $39.99, $32.99, which is actually what you can find this Tribit for right now, which still, even though this is 24 watts, about like 20 to 24 watts, I believe, this being at 12, it still blows me away that this is almost as loud as that as far as sound coming at you, when this is like half the wattage. But anyway, I digress on that. Let's talk about those intangibles. As you heard, those intangibles are things like NFC connectivity, which the Tribit does not have. You got your LEDs on the Sonys, which the Tribit does not have. You have an app on the Sony, which the Tribit does not have. You know, I mean, it's hands down easily Sony on that. So the sound quality for me, even though the decibels proves that the Tribit won on the decibels, the sound with the bass and everything, Sony wins that as well. So you got that look, you got that bass, that sound, you got the intangibles. With badassery alone, I mean, you got to go with Sony, right? So that looks like it might be a clean sweep. Now, if you guys have a difference of opinion, please let me know down below. I apologize for making this video so long. It's my first one back after a few weeks here. I'm able to talk again, so I'm having a good time talking with y'all. If you guys want to comment down below, please go right ahead. While you're down there, you might as well go ahead. Give it them thumbs, yo. Give it them thumbs. And hey, always be the hero in your story, not the villain in someone else's. Peace. By the way, y'all, I think Uns would trash the Tribit too. That's just my personal opinion. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry. Let me know. All right, down below, let me know. Peace.